Hey everybody, welcome. My name's Ann and welcome to Beauty for Ashes channel. I'm going to talk today about the goodness of God and how it regards our bodies. I'm sharing what I know, what I've learned. And not everybody's going to have the same experience. As a matter of fact, I'm sure that nobody's going to have the same experience as mine because God's solutions are infinite. He can do that. And He uses everyone. So He meets us where we're at, I guess, is what I'm saying. And if you can get some value out of this, I would just be blessed to have that hope. So when it came to my body, now about 10 years ago, I started feeling it. I held 2 or 3 jobs in my life. All of them were physical. I was a real go-getter and I had that work ethic. But about 10 years ago, I started feeling it. And things that I wanted to do became physically challenging. Even in my younger years, I had back issues and back surgeries and things like that. So I was feeling some things, but I decided maybe I should try some lifestyle changes. I should try to eat better, make sure I took those vitamins, lose a little weight. I was always an avid walker, but I decided maybe I ought to amp that up a bit. I also, of course, prayed about it. Help me with this. I want to last longer. I want a better quality of life. I don't want anything getting in the way of my joy. I have to say that I prayed for healing, but oftentimes nothing happened. And sometimes even more problems appeared. So it was getting a little crazy. I asked myself if I was doing something wrong or, like I had spoken to the mountain. I trusted that God wanted me well. I tried to ignore the symptoms, but then, it was a struggle. And then about 4 years ago, my husband was diagnosed with cancer, and he was only a month older than me. So it was, kind of a wake-up call. And not only that, the things that you see in caregiving, well, it had the reality of illness shown to me, and medical treatments. So it was illness in your face. Just probably added to my angst about it more than anything else. But then add to that the caregiving was overwhelmingly stressful and exhausting. And yet when you're doing caregiving for someone and you're compelled to do it, you just kind of put those things in the background. You don't listen to your body. But after his passing, I was in physical pain and physical shock. I was not doing well physically. I had pain all over. I wasn't feeling well. I even went to the doctor to check all the boxes and make sure that I was doing okay because I felt so badly. And I think there was a little bit of fear myself because he was taken so suddenly. What's to say that won't happen to me? I wanted to make sure I saw things coming. I have to tell you, up to this point, and it continues, but the battles that we have when it comes to our faith they can get to be pretty ugly. And you just have to kind of roll with them. It's okay. It's in the ugly stuff that we get our progression. And 3 years later, this was just recently, I had kidney stones that required hospitalization. I had somehow bruised my hip bone and I was incapacitated for a month. And then add to that, I went and got my mammogram and they said I needed to get another one, that they saw something they wanted to check out. Well, I had just switched insurances. So between getting the referral over to my new insurance and then making an appointment, I had to wait a month and a half, wondering whether there was some kind of issue that I should be alarmed about in that mammogram. Things just kept on scaring me and concerning me, and I was, feeling like I was getting hammered, or even right up to these past months. There was that stress of being alone. There was also a distrust for medicine because of what I had seen in cancer treatments. So I was asking myself, how would I live if I became more limited physically, or if I had to deal with the big C, what would I do? Would I even take treatments? And were these my only options? Is this what I had to look at for my future? And so I better figure it out. And I realized that from my small, limited perception, there weren't very many answers to my questions. And frankly, I got tired of asking them. God's the only one that has answers that are better than mine. And I thought, okay, and I don't have to do anything for his answers except listen and follow and just cast my cares and surrender to him and let him take it from there. So at that point, I cried uncle. I said, that's it. I was like a drowning woman, flailing around, and then suddenly when I realized that there was no help for me in my flailing, it was pretty much going to destroy me, at least send me to a dead end, and more of the same. I decided to stop struggling like a drowning swimmer and let the one who's trying to save me do it without my help. So I gave up my faith in prevention, whether it be exercise or food. I didn't just go all out and crazy or anything like that. But I wasn't asking, why did this happen? I ate right. I kept on moving, or I even wanted to. I wanted to do the right thing. So how come it didn't turn out? How come God didn't bless me with that? I also chose to stop making room for my illnesses and my complaints. In other words, oh, my back, or here comes that thing again. I guess I'm going to have to live with it. I better take a pill. I still might have to take a pill, but I am not going to carry it around like a companion in my head. I'm just not going to do it. That's God's business. He can deal with it. Heal my flesh. He's got a plan for me, and I will let him take care of what goes on in my body and let him just lead the way. And I'm not going to be fearful anymore because I know he's got my body. I don't have it anymore. And whatever happens to it, I'm hanging on. The worst case scenario is that I die and then see ya. because I'll be going home. Also, the emotions that come with body symptoms. Uh-oh, what was that? Oh no, my life's going to be this way. All these voices that are telling you that the outlook does not look good. And I decided the emotions that I have, I'm not going to give them any stock. Those are God's business, not mine. He can take care of those. A thought comes up, oh my gosh, what's going to happen now? I don't know what's going to happen now, but one thing I know is that God's in charge, so I am going to go turn my attention onto something else and get on with life and get on with thanking and praising Him. And He's got me and He's holding my hand through whatever comes. So that's what I think of all my fears. But I also am allowing myself grace when it comes to the medical field, because I had a slight change in my opinion and a slight altering of my attitude when I thankfully had someone who would take those kidney stones out of me. Thank you, Jesus, for that. I'm telling you, there's nothing like it if you've ever had a kidney stone. It's not a good thing. But all that being said, I just came to the conclusion that this is what I need to remember. God said that by Jesus' stripes I am healed. And that means to me that after I first asked for that to be released from my body, whatever it is, it dies at the root. It just needs to die all the way up and out of my body. And I have no doubt that that's what's going to happen. I don't even pay attention anymore. And like I said, if something does sneak up, either He takes care of it or He takes me home. But I am not going to live a life full of fear of illness. It's kind of like when Jesus commanded the fig tree to die. He cursed the fig tree, and it died immediately at the root. Now, He didn't have to come back and say, wait a minute, you don't look dead. I'm going to have to say it again. I curse you, fig tree. No, He didn't do that twice. He didn't do that 5 times, 100 times like sometimes we do. Oh, my body is still hurting, so I better just go back and give that magic incantation again. No, He had absolutely no doubt that that fig tree was dead at the root. And everybody else was surprised the next day when they found that fig tree withered. But He wasn't. He knew when He walked away, and He only needed to ask once. So that's what I'm doing. And then I'm walking away. And I'm just assuming that that's what it is, because I know that God has a good plan for me. He has a good plan for you. Everybody that walks the earth, He has a wonderful plan for. It's our turning to and trusting Him to fulfill it in our lives. And that's the challenge of life. When you're a Christian, that you surrender and you let Him take over. And it's not a weak thing, it's a strong thing. I mean, you look at all the different battles that were won by God alone. Heck, there were like legions of enemies at one point, and God told the Israelites to whittle down to as few soldiers as they possibly could. Send some of them home. No, send more, and send more. Because the battle was His and not the Israelites. And so it was won. So I feel like it's His battle, not mine. And the more we release our battles to Him, the better off we are, because He is happy to take them. He's got good things in store for us. How we feel or what we see doesn't even need to have any kind of bearing on our trust in God, because we're only seeing like a fraction. He's got the full perspective on it, and He loves us, and I feel safe in His hands. I do. I feel safe in His hands. And so when things do get kind of crazy, I just go ahead and ask Him, would you lighten my load, bring me back, show me how to get back to that place of joy. And I found that all the way up to sickness and dying and all the rest of that, meaning that everything, I can't handle everything, but I can promise you that God can, and He has a plan for it. He sees it coming at 10 paces, and He just wants us to ask for help and release it to Him. So, speaking of which, death is another thing. It's scary to some people, but it's inevitable. Hey, guys. Even if there's healing, there's not a permanent fix here. If there was a permanent fix through healing, divine healing, we all would never die. And no, thank you. I want to go back home to heaven someday, and with a new body that doesn't get sick. So, I found that in my grief over my husband passing, that I longed for heaven more than life here. I really did. My heart beats a little faster at the thought of how wonderful it'll be. But I also recognize that I could shorten my time here by choice. There are a lot of these people that lose their spouses and they're gone 6 months later. They just choose not to stay. And I had to decide that I would stay as long as God wanted me here. I would do whatever it was that He wanted me to do. But as soon as it was done and over with, I wanted out. Not a second longer. I don't feel that way now. I think He wants me to participate and enjoy life as a human being while I'm here, because we only get this one shot. But that's what I thought of back then, and I thought, just get me out of here as soon as it's done and over with, because I have nothing else to live for. And that's when He says, well, live for me. So, and I think that's when death to self really started to make sense, because that's what I did. And I longed for the bliss of being home and seeing my Father and seeing my Lord, my Savior. My main purpose now, because I don't have anything left. My life up to my husband's passing was just, that was like the book closed there, and I had a new book to write, and it opened up to me, and didn't really feel like writing another book. But when it came to, okay, serve me, I said, all right, I'll step into that story. So it keeps me afloat. It gives me meaning. It aligns me with what I need to do, and it feels really right to me. I'll see Him face to face. And the questions that I might have about why we had to go through things and why things came about the way they did will all be answered when I step in. All my personal questions, sorry guys, I'm hitting my microphone. All my personal questions will be answered. But then I think there's also going to be an understanding that, of course, because everything from the beginning of this creation to its end is perfection. He works everything together down to the last speck of dust, even the hard and wrong and dark things, because He's a perfect God, and it'll be amazing to realize that it's just perfect what He has done. And I think that we'll be spending a good portion of our time just praising Him in awe when we're there. I'm going to love to be in His presence. What a God we serve. So, fear not, He's with us. Blessings on your day, beloved, and we'll see you next time.